Hi everyone, this is Sharon. Today I have a newly completed journal I'd like to share with you. This is one I created for dear Michele, who has sent me some wonderful things, and I just want to send a journal back her way to thank her. What I did for this journal was, for the closure on the front, I used some crinkled seam binding, and I added this little vintage pin, which I'll take off. And then I just inserted this antique French postcard. It's a Happy New Year postcard. I thought it looked nice on the front cover, and I just slipped that in there. So if we open the closure, you can see I used this very old German book cover. I believe I bought this just the cover. I didn't have any content, so I'm not sure how old it is, but it looks quite old. I just love the cover and the color of this brown. And I had to expand the spine, so there's some nice embossing on the, if I can save these spines I do, and I just attach them, create a whole new spine, and then do some covering. Here I used a tapestry fabric that I brought around to the back, and then added some lace on the back as well. So stepping inside, for this journal, as far as digitals are concerned, I primarily used Ida Jane Designs, a number of her kits for my journal pages. And then for the tags and journal cards, I used a number of other artists as well. So for the inside covers, I just used some end papers for the background, and then on the top, I just added these old French invoices. That's what I have on the front, and then on the back, I have this blue one. I really like how that layered look plays with the pages. So here's the first page. I love the colors in this. I just added a little wax seal on the top. Here I created a pocket. In there I just created this small little tag out of some vintage wallpaper. And then I have this, I love this picture of these two ladies by the lake. And the back of that. I've used a number of old book pages in this journal. So this is one from a French embroidery book. Here I used some vintage wallpaper. I created a side tuck on this page, and then I've got this page from a vintage, it's either moths or butterflies. I think it's butterflies. And then here I created this little folio from some antique ledger paper, and it's just kind of like a little booklet where you can do some writing in. And I created some pockets on the sides. I folded over the date, but it's 1876, I believe, for the ledger paper. And then in the center of this signature, I created these top tabs and just added a little bit of decorative stitching and some ribbons on those. And then I stuck some journaling cards in each one of those. So this is this one. And some decorative papers on the back. I love this chandelier. And then on this side, I have another side tuck, and I just created this tag of the chandelier. I think chandelier images are one of my favorites. And then on this page, I have this envelope. It's a vintage envelope, and I just turned it into a little bit of a booklet. So I did some stenciling on the back side of that, and then made it into kind of a little photo album sort of thing. So I've got photos on this side, and then a place to write on the right side. Just a little embellishing on some of the pages as well. Here I added a sample stamp that I stamped onto a piece of linen, just stitched around that. And then on this page, I've got this little dotted tulle that I just cinched up with a button and then just added a little string on there. Here I created my own faux calling card, and I just added a little piece of ribbon to the back side of that. Just like the way that looks. This is a piece of a French workbook, like a school workbook. And then I created a top tuck there, and in there I've just got this piece that I printed on some very lightweight paper. And then I also inserted a vintage map of someplace in France. I don't know if it's Paris. Might be. Here I've got an avocado dyed doily for the page, and then some more of that pretty ledger paper. And here I took an old doily to make my corner pocket, and in there I created this tag. This is from a floral book that I have. And then in the center, I just punched the edges of these pages on each side and just created some shallow tucks along the side, added this velvet ribbon on each page and some buttons. And then in there, I created these little journaling cards. I just love the pictures of these children. And then here, again, I just stamped on some, this is cheesecloth, and just attached that for a little bit of embellishment. Here I've got another corner tuck with that doily, and then in there I tucked in this antique French, I think it's an invoice from 1857. Let's see what it looks like inside. Yeah, it looks like an invoice. And then in this pocket, I've got another journaling spot on the back, and then the pretty print holes on the front. On this page, I printed out, I think this is from Roxy Creations. It's just an image of a trim, but I printed it on parchment paper, and it really gives it a realistic look. It's just kind of a fun little place to journal on the back. And then on this side, I clipped on this little booklet that I made, again, from some like sampler images. Here I created a side tuck that I just stitched on with some embossed paper, and then I made this little spot to hang the ribbon on there, and then in there I tucked a couple of pieces of vintage French advertising. That's what those pages look like. Just some beautiful kits from Ida Jane. On this one I added a little bit of a crocheted trim on the top there. Here I embellished with some of my Amity Bloom tape along the bottom. And then this is an original invoice that I used for the page from 1907. And these I sourced locally. Here I created a shallow pocket at the bottom of the page, used some wool fabric and a faux button. And then I just attached or inserted this French book page. And then created this little sampler piece with some lace paper and ribbon. This is a sample, I believe. Did a little ruffle with some sewing tissue paper. Here I added this metal filigree piece on the top of the page just for some embellishment. And then this is like an onion skin. I don't know if it's an invoice, it's just some correspondence, I think, from around 1900. And I just carefully folded that to create some pockets and reinforced the middle with a piece of parchment paper that I stamped, just so I wasn't coming through directly on this narrow or really thin paper. I think that just reinforces the middle a little bit. And then in those pockets, I inserted a couple of pieces of transfer images that I put onto this paper. Needed something lightweight in those pockets. And then on the strings, I just added a couple of charms on the bottom. Again, another one of those metal filigree pieces. Here I've got another pocket on this page, and in there I created this tag, this pretty bird. And then I just added a scrap of music paper. At the top of this page, I added a piece of velvet and just a piece from a book spine to kind of embellish that a little bit. Here I took the book spine. It's the inside piece that kind of reinforces a book spine. This is from a Reader's Digest. I just did a little stamping on that and used that as my belly band on the page. And then in there, I've got this journaling card that I made. And then this is some antique ephemera. I believe it's French from 1869. This is a wax doily that I used in between the pages, and then this beautiful page, and I just added a ruffle and some lace on there. Here I created a tuck on the page, and then in there I've got this little journaling card, and I just added this metal on there. And then a piece of, I believe, let's see, I think this might be Italian ephemera from 1938. Here I just embellished this page with a little bit of punched paper and a piece of lace. Here I did some stenciling on the page with some cream paste. I was going to color it, but then I decided not to, and I'm glad I didn't, because it just looks like a piece of delicate lace on there, and I just like the way that white on white kind of looks together. Here I created a pocket with this onion skin page. Just did a little bit of slow stitching on this piece of fabric to embellish the corner. And then in there I've got, again, some Sampool sampler pieces. This one I just turned it into a little bit of a writing spot with this long narrow piece in the middle. And then this one I turned into an envelope, and I just stuck these measuring tape pieces in there. Another vintage butterfly book page. And then in the center here, I've got this corner tuck made from an embroidery image. And then in there, I tucked this antique calling card, and then a French book page. I love this image. I believe this one is from Ruby and Pearl. I'm not positive, but it might be. And what I did is I just waxed that sheet, and then I added, again, with slow stitching, just attach this piece of lace on the bottom. And that flips up so there's room to journal underneath there. And then I attached it with these brads at the top. And then over on this side in the pocket, I've got similar items to the other side. So I've got this little, it's a mini fabric flip. You can do some writing underneath there. And then here again, I made an envelope, and in there, I've got this little narrow journaling piece. did that paste treatment again on this side of the page. In this top tuck, I made this tag, this beautiful lady, and then I put a nice big bow on the bottom. And I put some of that embossed paper on the back side. And I just lightly went over it with an ink pad just to give it a little dimension. On this side of the page, I created a belly band with this trim piece. And you could stick something in there. Here I added just a little bow on the page to pretty that up a little bit. On this page, I clipped on a couple of pieces. Got this image, and I just backed that with some painter's masking paper. To write in there, and then I've got another French book page that I attached. Here's another original antique invoice from 1911. And then I just did a little stenciling on the top of that page with my paste. Here I created a side tuck, just did a little bit of slow stitching along the edge there. And then in that pocket, I've got this journaling card, like this image. And I just created a little flip there. You could do some writing on the back of that. And on the back side. In the center, I've got this page from, again, a French, this is macrame, but it's got all different kinds of embroidery and stitching and things in the book. And then on this side, I treated it the same as the other side, so I did a little stitching on there. And I've got a card that's kind of similar, the doorknob, that flips out in the back side. Here I stitched on a little piece of lace, and then in there I tucked this journaling card. And I did a little bit of, put some of this metal trim on there. It's metal looking paper, actually. And that takes us to the back side. So I hope you enjoyed that flip through today. I appreciate you coming along with me. And until next time, bye-bye.